Boy, I'll tell you, I love the funnies, you know. And one of my favorite strips is Hagar the Horrible. And he really is horrible, you know. Did you ever see how like him and his wife, how they get along, some of the things he does to her? I'll tell you, Horrible was the right name for this comic strip. And then you see like all the things he does when he goes into all these villages and everything. Hagar the Horrible, I'm telling you, sometimes well, I mean, he's a nice guy. It's not that he wasn't a nice guy. Anyway, we're here with Chris Browne. How you doing, Chris?
How are you doing, Bruce?
The artist that draws Hagar the Horrible in the newspapers. It's so great to have you here. I can't believe you showed up in the studio today.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, you've been drawing Hagar the Horrible for how many years now?
Since 1972, I started to assist my father on the strip, and since 1989, I've been drawing the strip pretty much on my own.
Okay, now your father created the strip, and then you added to the strip, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I was a typical apprentice. I started with emptying wastebaskets and helping fill in black areas on the strip and stuff like that, and I grew to write gags and then more gags and more gags, and eventually started doing some of the drawing and more, and now I'm wearing the hat.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. Well, I see no resemblance between you and the character, but
is a little bit, a little bit. My dad left me his beard.
He did.
You know?
Well, that's
yes,
nice.
yes.
Well, I can't grow one. I've been trying for years, but it doesn't work. Well, I'll tell you, it's a great family business to go into.
Yep.
Now, how many papers is Hagar seen in?
Well, Hagar, thank goodness, right now is in 1,900 newspapers around the world. It's in about 1,000 papers in the United States.
How many people does that come out to?
About 135 million. It's translated into 13 languages, and it's seen all over the world.
Well, don't worry.
I love.
One day the strip's going to take off. Don't,
yes.
Stick with it. I'll tell you,
yes.
stick with it. It'll
Hopefully,
be fine.
hopefully.
I'll tell you what, let's take a look at some of the strips right now. Boy, those characters are so great. You know, they're so distinctive. Let's draw those characters now, okay, Chris? And explain to us how you construct the head and what goes on, okay? Start with, of course, the lovable bad guy.
With Hagar.
Hagar.
Okay. Well, Hagar is a Viking businessman whose sacking and looting is his specialty, and he has he of course wears the helmet, and he has a beautiful nose, just like a beautiful little orange, and of course Vikings need to have good vision, so he has these two little raisins. They're actually, if you look at them in the strip, they're perfect little raisins for eyes.
Right.
It's a little bloodshot because Vikings party, and he's got the beard. He's got the beautiful red beard with occasional gray hair brought on by family life more than sacking and looting.
Sure.
And
now that's interesting. What you're doing there, that's a little shadowing effect.
Little shadowing.
I like that. That really brings the thing into a nice curve.
Yeah, and that's also, we'd like to sort of put in a little bit of Gustav Doré or Heinrich Clay, a little shadowing, a little Sir John Tenniel, a little inking technique.
Sure.
And of course I'm using a marker here, but in the strip it would all be done with a dip pen.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you. We're using marker, of course, for television. We want our friends at home to see it. But you use a dip pen, is that correct?
Yes.
With a waterproof ink?
Waterproof ink, and basically, here I'll show you, I use Higgins ink, which I leave out overnight.
Okay, now why is that?
Because I like it to become thick and gunky like a stew.
Oh,
I really
okay.
do. You like to let some of the water evaporate out of the thing, and then as you do that, it gets a nice gunky consistency.
And it goes on the page better for you? Is that why you like that?
It goes on the page better. And another trick that I've learned about inking is to wash the pen nibs when you first get them, because pen nibs are stored with vegetable oil sprayed on them so that they don't rust in the box. And if you take a pen nib right from the art store and start to
Put it right on the salad.
put it
They
right
would-
on
no,
the-
no, that's not, no. Okay.
It'll big glob of ink will roll right off the pen onto your
I
page.
see, okay,
If you
okay.
take off that, it will you get rid of that problem. You
That's
know?
interesting.
So,
That's a good
yeah.
tip.
Yeah.
Now you're drawing Helga.
There's Helga, yes.
This is
yes.
Hagar's wife.
Hagar's
and-
wife, based on my mother.
Is that right?
My father based all the cartoon characters on family members.
I see.
Helga was based on my mother, and the gags nowadays I base on my wife, Carol.
Mm-hmm.
And Hagar was based on himself. My father was a big man with a big red beard.
Now who gets the best of who? Hagar or Helga?
Always Helga. You'll
That's right.
notice if you ever look at the comic strip, Helga's horns are just a little bit bigger than Hagar's, and
Okay.
and
there's
that's
a reason for that.
that's why, you know, she's the real boss in the house.
Okay. Now there's another character in the strip that is kind of his little cohort of Hagar's, and that's Lucky Eddie.
Lucky Eddie, the least lucky Viking. You know,
Okay.
there's that saying: if I didn't have bad luck, I would have no luck at all.
Luck at all, right?
And Lucky Eddie was based on my father's brother, Edmund.
All right.
Edmund Browne, who never had very much luck, but we loved him dearly, and he was just a great guy, very much like Lucky Eddie, a nice, affable, sweet guy.
Right. He means well, and he just doesn't seem to come out on top, does he?
He means well, and no, nothing ever quite works out. And so here's Lucky Eddie, and
What is that helmet? That is a great helmet he's wearing.
he's obviously been eating too many sunflower seeds. There's a flower popping out of the top. So.
Chris, could you give our friends at home a tip on how to create their own comic strip? Any just, I know it's tough, there's a lot that goes into it, but just any one tip that you can give them in the way of success?
Well, you know, I would say that as far as coming up with an idea, the best advice I was ever given was by Charles Schulz, who said, draw what you love.
Charles Schulz, of course,
Draw-
from Peanuts fame.
Of Peanuts, and what a great man he is. And he told me to forget the gimmicks, draw from your heart, draw something that you love. And that's certainly what my dad did when he created Hagar. And
Well, I'll tell you, we could stay here all day, and I could just watch you draw. You have such a great style of drawing, and I love your work, and I want to thank you for
I
coming
love
today.
your work, man.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be here.
Well, thank you very much, and the best of luck with Duncan in the future.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
very much.